We are currently entering into eclipse season. August the 12th starts the new cycle with the solar eclipse in Leo. August the 28th is the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. Eclipse season is where geopolitical tensions rise, unexpected events occur, causing tensions within the financial markets. Sometimes this pushes the markets higher, but also sometimes it causes the markets to fall. With this eclipse season, the nodes change signs. Going into Aquarius, it's the lowest point of the business cycle. I do see this eclipse season being full of unpredictable events, causing the markets to move in the most unpredictable ways. I am doing this forecast a bit differently. I usually look at the new moon and the first 2 weeks after the new moon. This time around, I'm going to go through the full moon, the new moon, the full moon, and most important transits occurring within the general transits and within Bitcoin and New York Stock Exchange. Before the full moon happens, I'll come back with another video looking at what happened so far in the cycle and add any changes that I want to make within the forecast. This is the solar eclipse. It's in Leo at 13:47 p.m. on August the 12th. This is set for New York, New York, and I'm using whole sign astrology. Side note, before I move further, I did a video with Crypto Rich looking at the eclipses. In the charts that I had in that video for this solar eclipse, the south node was at 29 degrees of Leo. Sun and the moon were next to the south node. That's usually a negative omen for financial markets. And with the moon opposite to the north node, that's also a challenging omen for the markets. Unexpected events occurring that challenge the markets and cause the markets to go negative. In this chart, it's at 0 degrees of Virgo, the very last degrees of Virgo. And in this chart, it is not the sun and the moon are not opposite to the north node. That is a big difference. That is a big deal. Why is that a big deal? Because if the sun and the moon are not opposite to the north node, that could be meaning that maybe there's not going to be unexpected events occurring, suddenly turn the markets negative. But honestly, with this north and south node at 0 degrees on this eclipse, I feel that there's still going to be challenges. And I do still feel that there could be this unpredictable event that occurs that challenges the markets. Maybe not on the day of the actual eclipse, possibly more when the nodes actually change signs, which is on August the 18th. So please keep that in mind as we're going through this video. There's this envelope here happening, meaning everything looks great on the outside, but on the inside, there's absolute chaos occurring. Jupiter is opposite to Pluto. Venus is opposite to Neptune. And we also have Mars squaring to Neptune. That is a very big challenge. That happens exactly at 17 degrees. August the 17th. What does this all even mean? During this eclipse window between August the 12th and the 28th, that's when I feel that the markets are going to have the biggest challenge. Stock market and crypto market. August the 19th and the 20th, Mercury will be at 20 degrees of Leo, the exact same degrees that this eclipse happened, and that could trigger events to occur, meaning it could trigger the Mars squaring to Neptune energies. That's hidden warfare, whether it's psychological warfare, cyber attacks. It is very challenging, something happening that you do not see coming. And again, I apply that to the markets. And that could be an outside event happening, affecting the markets. The sun and the moon are also trining to Saturn. We cannot forget that. That is important. That is showing this stability, stable markets amid challenges. And that could be something that helps the markets to not have a collapse, a crash. During this day, Mars is sextile to Chiron. Mercury is sextile to Uranus. So we do have some positive events going on within the sky during this eclipse. The biggest concern is Mars squaring to Neptune and this envelope pattern that's occurring, along with this triangle pattern, this red triangle pattern occurring with Venus, Mars, and Neptune. So I feel like this is going to be more of a delayed reaction. meaning the markets could look very well, very healthy on the eclipse on the 12th. Look like they're rising, look like they're gaining traction, increasing in price. But as we get closer to when the nodes change signs, the 18th, the 19th, and the 20th, the 17th through the 20th, that's when we could see the challenges starting to arise in the markets. Unexpected events, hidden agendas rising, outside geopolitical events unfolding, causing the markets to have a really strong challenge. August 18th, this is when the North and South node changes the signs. Total side note. Now, there's conflicting information that I've seen saying, some people showing that the nodes have changed their signs. Some people saying the nodes have not changed their signs yet. The charts that I'm looking at show that they have not changed their signs yet. What I'm trying to say is that if indeed this South node is in Leo, and it is next to the moon, it's in the same sign, it's 9 degrees away, but it's in the same sign, then do keep in the back of your mind that unexpected events could occur, challenging the markets at some point in this cycle, overriding anything that positive is happening, causing the markets to be negative and remain that way throughout the cycle. Crypto, New York Stock Exchange, financial markets. August 18th, officially I have that the nodes have changed their sign. South node is in Leo, North node is in Aquarius. This is changing the direction. This is changing the direction of where people are headed, their mindset on the business economic cycle. This is the lowest point of the cycle for the next 18 months. We could see the markets declining. As the nodes change their signs, the North node will still be in a square to Uranus, trine to Mars and opposite to the Sun. North node squaring to Uranus is a big deal because it's sudden, unexpected turn of events and changes. Possibly something with the interest rate, something happening that's causing the markets to have to shuffle and change and move in a way that is trying to work out a problem. North node trine to Mars, that is positive. We could see prices suddenly start to move, suddenly start to rally, but then Uranus comes along and changes that in an instant. Opposite to the Sun, challenging the direction of the finances. I do see the 18th as having some troubles, maybe volatile, but this is also in that period where Mars is also squaring to Neptune. So I do see this as also a challenging period. Unexpected gains, but also unexpected losses. I do see there's to be challenges here on the 18th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, leading up to the eclipse, the lunar eclipse. Places to watch for possible events: Greenland, Spain, UK, Ireland, Paris, and Brussels. That's where the total eclipse will be covering over for the solar eclipse. And Iceland. This is the first total solar eclipse since 1433. Look for headlines about these places to gain an understanding of how the markets could react, or indicators of how the markets could move. The lunar eclipse on the 28th. This is in Pisces, global balance, changing balance of power. Disputes pushed to a breaking point, and strength is tested. Governments are tested through crisis. And the United States and the Americas are in this path of totality, and a little bit of Europe as well, and part of West Africa. This is a lunar eclipse. During this eclipse, Mars will be squaring to Saturn. This is just challenging. In the lunar eclipse, in the solar eclipse, Mars was squaring to Neptune. Now in this eclipse, Mars is squaring to Saturn. That is challenging diplomacy, challenging the actions of governments taking action due to uprisings, people pushing back, countries pushing back. Sun and the moon are squaring to Uranus. That's also a very big challenge. You can see this red triangle here in the charts, pointing, the sun and the moon pointing towards Uranus. Sudden outbursts of violence. Mars is in Cancer, squaring to Saturn in Aries. I see this as actions taken against either other countries, wars, fighting, breaking out, uprisings, violence. That's how I see this configuration. Maybe countries fighting each other across the water, on the water, in the water, or just different countries internationally fighting each other. It could also be people uprising as well within the countries, fighting it back against the governments. This is at 4 degrees. 4 degrees was where the bar belt basket occurred. It could be a trigger point for different events to occur. The moon here is next to this north node. It's in a different sign. So technically we could say yes, by degree it is next to it, but by sign it is not next to it. And that does make a difference. This could be showing a glimmer of hope for the markets, a glimmer of peace, something, maybe people talking about peace treaties or peace deals. But because they're not in the same sign, I feel like they're not going to hold steady. There will be the continued challenges. It could be like a facade, wanting to go ahead with peace, but yet that just doesn't happen, especially with Mars squaring to Saturn. The ruler of this moon is Neptune and Jupiter. And there are positive aspects. Jupiter is trying to Saturn, and that occurs exactly on the 31st. That could be a strong indication that perhaps the last 2 weeks of this cycle could be better than the first 2 weeks. But again, if we look back into the solar eclipse, moon and the sun were close to this north node, indicating possible unexpected events that could take over the markets. This is going to be a very volatile, highly unexpected cycle, unable to anticipate the direction of the markets due to the outside events that occur between August the 12th through the end of the cycle, which is September the 9th. And especially with this north node entering into Aquarius, I see this as this could be leaning more towards a negative challenged cycle. If you'd like to support my channel and this work, please consider joining my YouTube memberships. I put out these videos earlier for you to watch before I put them out to the public. This is Bitcoin's chart. On the solar eclipse, we have Venus in the 9th house in Libra. That could be helpful at times throughout this cycle. We still have Saturn in a square to natal Sun and ascendant. This will be exact again on September 4th. That is this cycle. This is the biggest challenge I see for Bitcoin. Limiting the market's direction, limiting the price growth. Sun and the moon are opposite to Neptune as well. Finances, hidden agendas in the finances, this is the value. This is challenging. However way you want to cut it, this is a challenge to Bitcoin. Disagreements within Bitcoin, disagreements within crypto, that is causing the prices to not able to gain the momentum and the traction that it wants to gain. The Clarity Act here in the United States is probably one of the biggest examples of this. There are people on both sides of the fence. Is it good? Is it bad? Is there challenges with this? This is too much government oversight. That could be a cause, one of the causes of this, whether it passes or not. That could be one of the causes of this. Cyber warfare. We saw the hack that happened on July the 31st. We could have more hacks or fallout from that hack. Regardless of whatever the situations are, the geopolitical tensions that arise, I do see this as a very challenging cycle for Bitcoin. And I do feel that this will also affect the rest of the crypto market. But just looking at Bitcoin, this is a challenge. On the 12th and the 13th, Venus is squaring to natal Mars. That is action, challenging, negative, and Mars is opposite to natal Pluto. Pluto is the planet that is ruling this cycle because it's in the first house of Bitcoin. So looking at the transits happening to natal Pluto or from Pluto to any other planets is going to be also a key here. With Mars opposite to natal Pluto, this could also be an indicator of just more challenges. August the 14th, the North Node will be next to natal Venus. Now that is very positive. This could be a brief breather within this time period. It could help to be stabilizing prices, possibly. On the 16th, we have Venus, Neptune next to natal moon. This is a large challenge. This is cyber attacks, hacks occurring. We could see larger scale hack occurring or reoccurring, causing challenges to the prices. Neptune is invisible. It's unpredictable of what Neptune does, but so far of what I've been tracking with Neptune, this has been causing a challenge with the Neptune and the moon. It's retrograde, so it already was next to the moon, in July. I believe it was July. I forget exactly what day in July, but it was next to the moon in July. And that's around when the hack occurred. So I feel that this could be further challenging the market. And then the North Node enters into Aquarius on the 18th. Now, Venus and Saturn will be squaring to natal Sun, but the moon will be sextile to natal Sun. This is going to be challenging the market. August the 20th, Venus will be next to this midheaven. That will be a nice breather within the market. That could either change the market momentum, change in direction, possibly causing markets to be positive on the 20th or around the 20th. Say that a little bit easier. For the 12th, the solar eclipse up through the 19th, I see challenging market momentum building. Maybe the 12th is okay, steady, maybe even positive for a period or even on that day. But as the days build up towards the 18th, I feel the market's going to be extremely challenged. The 20th is when we could have a bit of a breathing room. It could be positive due to Venus next to the midheaven. Now, keep in mind that Saturn will be getting closer and closer to squaring exactly this natal Sun. So anything positive that I'm saying that could be happening might be overridden by Saturn squaring natal Sun. This is extremely challenging. This was exact also in May, and that's when we also had very challenging markets. Prices went down to about 59,000. Could revisit that, or it could just be very challenged. On the day of the lunar eclipse, we have Saturn squaring the Sun and Mars opposite to the natal Sun. Mars opposite to natal Sun is exact on the 31st. That could also be a strong influence to this lunar eclipse. Sun and the moon are also in positive aspects to natal Mars. So maybe it's volatile this day, or a brief period of is positive. Overall, I do see this also as being very challenged, especially with Mars opposite to natal Sun during the lunar eclipse in Pisces. It's emotional. Mars is also in Cancer, which is also a water sign. Pisces is a water sign, but it's also a challenge. So leading up to this eclipse, we could also continue the challenges. In the middle of the eclipse time between the 12th and the 28th, again, that's when the most geopolitical events happened, causing the most challenges and volatility and unexpected price movement to happen. August the 30th, Jupiter will be sextile to natal midheaven. That is positive. That is very positive. This could affect the 28th, possibly causing the markets to be okay on the 28th. But with Saturn, again, squaring to natal Sun, Mars opposite to natal Sun, and the moon on this day will be squaring to natal Sun, I feel this is going to continue to have the challenges. Even though this is positive, Jupiter sextile the midheaven, brief market positivity, a brief interruption, when there's a hurricane, the eye of the hurricane comes and the sun comes out, that could be what is going on. The sun could be coming out for a brief period of time. Between the 28th and the 30th, we could have a brief pause in the negative challenges. It could be positive in between that time, at some point between the 28th and the 30th. But again, I feel like that this is going to be more challenged than anything else because of Saturn. I feel like this whole cycle could be challenged because of Saturn. September 4th, Saturn is exactly square to natal Sun, and Mars is still squaring, is still opposite to natal Sun. Again, I feel that this is going to have continued challenges throughout the cycle and throughout the end of the cycle. Overall, I see Bitcoin as a negative challenged momentum of a cycle with brief periods that could help have brief moments of positiveness around the 30th and also around August the 20th when Venus is next to midheaven. I will definitely come back and take a look at this around the full moon to see what has occurred and what could be coming up. Saturn will be squaring to the ascendant the entire cycle. It's an angle in the chart, and it is very, very important. If the market is overall negative this cycle, this could be due to Saturn squaring the natal ascendant and also North Node squaring natal Sun. two important parts of New York Stock Exchange's chart. August 12th is a Wednesday, so the eclipse happens during the day at 1:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In New York Stock Exchange's chart, Sun and the Moon are trying to natal Moon and sextile to Jupiter. That's very positive. There are no aspects to the natal Sun. And during this eclipse in the general transits, the Sun and the Moon is not making any aspects to Neptune, but Mars is squaring to Neptune. That could be an indicator of challenges ahead for the New York Stock Exchange. Maybe not as disruptive as in Bitcoin's chart, but I do see that there will be challenges within this cycle. Starting off the cycle, this could start off in a lot better momentum than the crypto market. August the 12th, Mars is squaring to Venus. Mercury is squaring to Venus. That is a challenge. But with the Sun and the Moon being the focus of this day, this could be an overall more positive day than anything else, with some hiccups maybe towards the end of the day, but overall this could be more of a positive period or day for the New York Stock Exchange. Saturn and Neptune are the key planets for this cycle. What they're doing to other planets, how they're talking to other planets within the chart, or maybe even the general transits, will have a strong influence on this cycle for the New York Stock Exchange. But also in general, I feel that this is going to start off better, the New York Stock Exchange, but as time moves on, we're going to start to have some challenges. August the 13th, this is when Lilith will trine to natal Saturn. The Moon will be squaring to the natal Sun. This is important. The 13th, while this is a positive transit, there could be challenges within the market on this day, the 13th. So let me re-say what I just said. 12th could be a good day. The 13th, that's when we could have the challenges, even though this is positive transit going on. Lilith trine to Saturn could be influencing the 12th, having it very positive. The 13th is when we could have volatility on that day, even challenges, even some negative momentum. But I feel that the 13th could be volatile. The 14th could continue in that same manner, or it could be positive from the Moon not being squaring to the Sun. So the 12th positive, 13th volatile, the 14th could return back to positive. Mars will be in the first house also of New York Stock Exchange's chart. This is also going to cause the markets to have a lot of action, depending on what is going on and who Mars is talking to in the chart. That's just a side note. Okay, August 17th to the 21st. This is when the North Node will enter into Aquarius. This is New York Stock Exchange's 8th house. It will eventually be next to natal Pluto. Not today, not tomorrow, not on the 18th. But this, I feel, is going to cause major volatility. It could cause the markets to start to decline. Maybe not make it to that all-time high any further. Start to trend more in a downward way throughout this next 18 months. On the 18th, as it moves into Aquarius, Sun will be squaring to natal Sun, and North Node will be squaring to the natal Sun. This is a challenge. This, I feel, is going to be negative. Starting off this week on the 17th to the 21st could just be overall a negative, challenged week. There will be some green candles in the market, but I feel that overall this week is going to be challenged, especially with this North Node squaring to the Sun and the Sun squaring to the Sun. But this is overall going to be a very challenging week for the markets. It's also in between the eclipse period, and geopolitical events are going to occur that are also going to affect the markets. September 24th through 28th. This is the week of the eclipse, of the lunar eclipse. The 25th, on that Tuesday, transiting Lilith will sextile Neptune. That's positive. But we still have this North Node squaring to the Sun, Mercury squaring to the Sun, and the Moon is trine to the Sun. 24th and 25th could be positive. Could be is the key word there, because Mercury is squaring to the Sun and the North Node is still squaring to the Sun. 24th, 25th out of this week, I see could be the best days out of this week. The 26th, we have Venus opposite to the Moon. That is a challenge. 27th, no transits occurring, but the 28th, we have the lunar eclipse. During the eclipse, Sun is trying to Venus and Mercury is trying to Venus. That is very positive. My challenge, my concern is this North Node squaring to the Sun. That could pose problems. It could be overriding any positiveness happening within the chart. This could be a volatile day, but overall, I feel like this is going to be a mixed volatile day depending on the outside events. The North Node, if it's negative, it's because of this North Node squaring to the Sun. Periods of positivity could be happening. This eclipse happens at 12 o'clock in the morning. Okay. By the time the markets open, the moon will no longer be sextile to Venus and Lilith. The sun will be, but the moon will not be. Venus will still be opposite to the moon. The sun will be trining to Venus. This could be positive, actually, throughout most of this day. Challenges I do see occurring at different periods, but overall, this could be a positive day. The 24th through the 28th, it could actually be a positive week. If there are challenges and the market is negative or not showing any signs of positiveness, it's because the North Node squaring to the moon energy is taking over and causing a negative market momentum. This is a week that you're going to have to watch out for events occurring to influence the market. This could be an either or. It could be a very positive week or it could be a very challenging week, depending on events happening around the world. August 31st to September the 4th. This week, we have Saturn squaring to the ascendant. Saturn will be squaring to the ascendant the entire cycle. It's an angle in the chart, and it is very, very important. If the market is overall negative this cycle, this could be due to Saturn squaring the natal ascendant and also North Node squaring natal sun. Two important parts of New York Stock Exchange's chart. So what I said about anything being positive, if the market is not positive and it's overall negative, it's due to North Node squaring the sun and Saturn squaring the natal ascendant. That will limit the growth, limit the price, challenge how much the market can actually grow and go. This could be more challenging or not allow the markets to move higher than what they have been. Stagnation, sideways, possibly even the market could be going. The week of the August 31st through the 4th, it could be overall challenging for this period. Now, on the 5th, North Node will sextile to Lilith in the general charts. That's on a Saturday. That could influence that Friday, September the 4th, but with Saturn squaring to natal ascendant, I feel that this is going to overtake the markets. And from that Monday through that Friday, we could see the markets just continually starting to decline. So I would say the 31st of August through September the 4th, we have an overall very challenged week. September 7th through the 9th, this is the last couple of days in this cycle. We have Uranus transiting Jupiter next to natal Uranus. This is positive, actually. The 7th through the 9th could be a much better period in time than the week before, the August 31st through September the 4th. With Saturn still squaring this ascendant, it could be limiting how much this could go, how much the markets could move up. Overall, cycle very sensitive to outside events that occur. North Node changing for both crypto, New York Stock Exchange. The markets will be very temperamental and sensitive to outside events. Influence on how the markets move along with these eclipses. I feel like it's going to be more of a challenge cycle than anything else for all financial markets. New York Stock Exchange and Bitcoin's chart, Saturn is a strong influence, limiting the growth, challenging the growth, even causing markets to decrease. And this North Node, changing the signs, is signaling downtrend in the business economic cycles. So I do expect overall challenges for financial markets. I will come back to this and revisit this before the full moon to see where the markets have been, what they've done, and to analyze to see if I feel like any changes need to be made to what I said. And if you're interested in an astrology reading, my link is in the description below. We can go over your chart, see what's occurring during these eclipses for you, and how to navigate these energies. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, and share.